He called me dead weight in front of 37 people. Bradley Whitmore, the CEO's son, thought he was firing a secretary. I was the director of strategic fulfillment. I built his supply chain. They thought a severance check would buy my silence. It just bought me a controlling interest in MoGSA, the supplier they depended on for their entire freight ecosystem. I didn't want revenge. I wanted to watch the arrogance crumble, but then his estranged mother sent me a text, and I realized I'd walked into a war that started 6 years ago. Welcome to Karma Chronicles, your ultimate destination for thrilling revenge stories, where corporate hubris always meets its match. If you believe in strategic acquisition, hit that subscribe button and share this story. The faint hum of the HVAC unit was the only sound in the office, accompanying the stench of my dignity catching fire. Bradley Whitmore, a man with a jawline sharp enough to slice empathy, leaned against the whiteboard I'd been presenting on. He was loud, bored, and sipping his stupid pistachio smoothie. "I don't get why we still have legacy staff," he announced to the room. "It's like carrying dead weight." I was Sarah Tran, Director of Strategic Fulfillment. I'd built our supply chain from the ground up, endured 3 crises, and personally brokered a multi-million-dollar acquisition during COVID, while my father was dying in hospice. Bradley, the transformation consultant, whose resume was ghostwritten by his father's assistant, didn't know any of that. He just painted a target on me. I closed the PowerPoint, nodded to my team, and walked out before my face betrayed me. In the executive bathroom, I locked the door and stared at the black tile. I counted 12 visible cracks in the grout, the same as my years here. I wasn't just next. I was already gone. At 4:00 p.m. sharp, I walked into the glass conference room. Bradley was seated, flanked by 2 HR reps. "Sarah," he began with the falseness of a man about to end your mortgage, "let's be honest, you've been a solid archive." I opened the severance folder. It was shockingly generous. 6 months base pay, bonus included, vested options untouched. This wasn't mercy, it was insurance. He wanted me out quiet and happy. I smiled, a tight, controlled line, signed the papers with a hand steady despite the battery acid in my throat, and walked out. I went home, uncorked a bottle of Shiraz older than his social media presence, and opened the folder I'd kept hidden for 6 months. MoGSA acquisition packet, confidential. Bradley didn't know the real game had started before he even got his nameplate. He didn't know I'd been in quiet talks with Vince Caldwell, MoGSA's founder. MoGSA was the supplier our entire freight ecosystem ran on. I'd flown to Houston last October and left with a promise on a napkin and a silent NDA. The severance Bradley thought would silence me had just become my weapon. Part 2. The Acquisition and the Silk Dagger. Monday morning came like a quiet detonation. I didn't sleep, running numbers, margins, and projections. At 8:04 a.m., I walked into a nondescript office building 2 hours south of the city. Vince Caldwell, looking like an aging longshoreman in a wrinkled Henley, met me in the break room with a dying Keurig. "You know, once you buy in, you inherit every demon that's haunted this place since 1997? He asked. "I'm a woman in logistics," I said. "I've already danced with the devil." I transferred the funds from 3 accounts: my severance, a quiet liquidation of an old investment, and a loan from my late sister's trust fund. The money was meant for blood in the water, and it tasted like a pistachio smoothie. By 11:45 a.m., I had controlling interest in MoGSA, 51%. By 2:10 p.m., I was drafting the freight restructuring letter that would land on my old company's desk like a wrecking ball wrapped in velvet. The beauty of it? No legal fireworks, just a quiet 18% rate increase and a sudden mysterious pause on all preferred scheduling due to volume congestion and strategic realignment. Bradley wouldn't see it coming. He probably didn't even know MoGSA by name. But something else happened. At 3:26 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Houston area code. Then a text. We should talk. Your move didn't go unnoticed. K. Katrina Whitmore, Bradley's mother. The CEO's estranged ex-wife. The woman who once owned 12% of the company and was bought out and silenced after the divorce. The fact that she knew what I'd done meant either I'd made a fatal mistake or someone else had been planning a war long before I even picked up my sword. I texted back, "What do you want?" Her message landed, "Dinner, just you and me. Tomorrow, Bellamy's 7 sharp. You'll want to hear this." Bellamy's wasn't a restaurant. It was where power dined with secrets. At 7:03 p.m. the next evening, Katrina Whitmore was already seated, swirling something red and ruinously expensive. She looked untouched by time, like she'd brokered the devil's second divorce. She slid a small envelope across the table. Inside were 3 photos: Bradley shaking hands with Vince Caldwell, a stock transfer agreement dated 2 weeks before my buyout, and an email chain between Bradley and Mogsay's CFO, Harrison Drake, discussing partial acquisition. "He tried to beat you to it," Katrina said finally, voice like ash over velvet. "You didn't just buy 51% of Mogsay. You blocked his consolidation plan." I stared, dry-mouthed. "You wanted to acquire Mogsay for your ex-husband's company?" "Bradley's little transformation plan? It's not about leanness, it's about leverage." He wanted control of the supply chain so he could gut it, inflate value, and cash out in 2 years with a golden parachute. You ruined that. "So what's this?" I leaned back. "You gloating?" "This is an offer," she smiled, not kindly. "You keep Moji SA, but I want 5% silent. You front the moves, I feed you intel, and in 6 months you'll have him dangling by strings he thinks he tied himself." "Why would I trust you?" "Because I hate my son more than you do." For a second, the table was a no man's land. I reached for the wine menu. If we were going to burn this dynasty down, we'd need something decent to toast with. The internal audit request hit Mogsay 3 days later. Bradley knew, or at least he suspected. The calls started. Warehouse managers, procurement leads, even a logistics analyst I trained sent a panicked DM. "Hey Sarah, is it true you own Moji SA now?" Katrina called. "I told you he'd sniff it out. He's not smart, but he's paranoid. He's going to play victim. He'll call it revenge." Katrina then fed me the first crucial piece of intel. 2 years ago, Bradley got drunk and insulted Gerald Finn, owner of FinTech Distribution, one of Whitmore Corp's biggest clients. I met Finn for coffee, not to pitch, but to slide a paper across the table. Moji SA's new exclusive distribution rates, 10% lower than anything Whitmore could match, with guaranteed 0 surcharge fluctuations. He signed that afternoon. Bradley retaliated by freezing all Mogi SA POs, claiming discrepancies in quality assurance, a corporate siege. But I had already rerouted half the deliveries through shell vendors I owned. His suspension meant nothing to the trucks already unloading behind his warehouses. I responded publicly. Any delay in delivery caused by internal policy shifts within client organizations does not reflect our logistics performance, but their internal disarray. By 3:00 p.m., Whitmore meltdown was trending on Twitter. The lawsuit hit my inbox at 8:01 a.m. Sharp, Whitmore Corp. v. Sarah Tran. Preliminary injunction notice. Malicious interference. Corporate espionage. My favorite, emotional instability, resulting in retaliatory acquisition. I half expected it to accuse me of casting spells. At noon, my attorney, Eliza Hart, and I walked into the Whitmore Tower. We handed out slim black folders, a detailed timeline of Bradley's unauthorized communication with Moji SA's CFO, and evidence of his backdoor attempts to acquire Moji SA himself. He didn't just plan to acquire Moji SA. He tried to buy it out from under his own father. When the documents hit the table, the room turned to stone. His father, Robert Whitmore, finally removed his glasses. "You planned this." "No," I said calmly. He did. I just had better aim. He asked, "What would it take to make this go away?" "I don't want money. I want clean separation, full dissolution of Whitmore's ties to Mogiese. And Bradley, I want his resignation on paper." He nodded once. He had no choice. The statement hit the wires 36 hours later. Bradley Whitmore has stepped down from his role at Whitmore Corporation to pursue new opportunities. But something didn't sit right. It should have felt like victory. Instead, my phone buzzed. Katrina's voice, low, almost confessional. "I did what I had to do, Sarah. That company was mine before Robert married it away. I needed a fall guy, and Brad was born to play the role. Now take it and walk away." She had used me. Every move, every leak, every whisper in the boardroom. Katrina didn't just want revenge, she wanted resurrection, and she built it on a pyre made of her own son. She vanished off the grid, but she left me with an envelope taped to a restaurant door. Inside, a single page, transfer of ownership, 12% of Mogiese Holdings from Katrina to Sarah Tran. I now owned 63% of Mogiese, alone. 3 weeks passed. Mogiese surged. Clients who once ignored my emails were now begging for contracts. But every win tasted like ash, because every time I walked into the office I didn't feel like a queen. I felt like a caretaker of a throne built on blood. One night I received a final envelope. Inside, a faded photo of Katrina in a hospital bed, smiling with a swaddled newborn, Bradley Whitmore, 1993, and a letter. "Sarah, you were always meant to run it. Don't become me, Kay." I sat in my office chair until the sun came up. I could sell, I could disappear, but I didn't. Monday morning, I walked into the boardroom, alone. I pulled up the quarterly report, looked every exec in the eye, and spoke the only words that mattered. "I'm not here to play queen. I'm here to build something that no man, no sun, no ghost can burn again. It wasn't inherited, it was earned, and the silence was deafening.